Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God He knows. Sometime. Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God He knows. Sometime.
Yes, welcome back to another video from Small Axe Music Productions. Today I'm going to be doing this short tutorial on de-essing, again using the F6 dynamic equalizer from Waves. Alright, but before we go in, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, and be sure to hit the notification bell. Alright, so yes, let's get right in. So you know, like if you're like me, sometimes you're having heavy CPU usage when you start to mix and stacking up the plugins. Right, I would normally use a multiband compressor to help me de-ess. I really don't like to use a de-esser too much, to be honest. I've never liked it because for me, when I listen back, it kind of messed with the high end of the vocal, the sheen, and I just like the vocal to have a bit of sheen on top of things. So I really never like to use a de-ess. I would rather to use a multiband compressor and just do what I have to do. But still the multiband compressor is somewhat, it's good, but it's not as precise, I would say, as this dynamic EQ. So I run to this guy, and it's from there I've been using it. Alright, not only for the to de-ess, but to just use it to do just about any EQing that I want to do, and just add some dynamics to it and certain frequencies. Alright, so it's pretty straight up and simple. Alright, you have the 6 bands here, and you will just select whatever you want to do. You can turn off the bands just the same like any regular EQ. Oh, and another thing is that it has a analyzer, and it also can solo the band, each band, just like the multiband compressor. So for example, I want to solo band 6, I would just go in and solo it. Right, and you can hear what you're doing, what you're actually EQing or compressing. Alright, so alright, over here you have the EQ section from here to here. Alright, as you can see, I'm sorry, rather from here to here. You would have the EQ section. All right, and from here to here you would have the dynamic section. All right, so this is where your compressor is, and both of these, this is a multi-functional tool. All right, so once you know how to use a compressor, then fine, you definitely know how to do your thing. All right, so you just go right in and do your regular EQing, and here, this is where I find this compressor interesting. You can just, once you put your EQ, it's very clinical, where you can make surgical cuts. So if you find, for example, that frequency, that annoying frequency that is poking out in the mix, in the vocal or whatever, for example, it's here. Here you can go in, you can solo. Let's just boost. I like to use my ear, so let's just go ahead and boost. All right, so I think we need more. Okay, let's go here so I can do a loop. right? So you can hear that's one of the annoying frequencies, but still you have some nice presence there as well. So you just don't want to just put that in there and just start to take away crazy frequencies, good frequencies, because the S's only kicks in when she pronounces some words with S's or whatever, that brings up that frequency. So at times you're gonna need the same frequency to be in the vocal and other words. All right, so this is where I say things are get interested with this dynamic EQ. So as you can see, as soon as I play a bit of the vocal, you can hear where it stops. You can see, really, you can see where it's activating. Sorry, my CPU is cranking out. Where it's activating, and it would leave the other vocal to use those frequencies. Let me just play a bit and you'll see exactly.
Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God He knows. Where will our story end? Only.
So as you can see, when she's singing "Where Will Our Story" ends, and you hear that S, you can see where it kicks in and kind of tame those S's, all right, in that frequency range. All right, so it's not just set at a threshold and just hammering things down that goes in that frequency. It's to a certain range, all right, and this is why you have your range but knob here, so you can set the range for it to pull it down on that frequency, right? And you have the threshold there as well, right? So the threshold will contain the other places, other frequencies, so it wouldn't go above it, right? As usual, as I say, you know how to use a compressor, so you definitely would know you have your attack and your release, so how soon it should grab those frequencies and pull them down, and how quickly it will release it, right? So this right, or the slow release, all right, and you can just the same thing as a compressor, right? So it can just put it down and just let it go right away, or you could and just slowly releases it, all right? So that's the point of it, of those knobs. You guys know how to use a compressor even better than me, so you guys, right? So yeah, so the range, the threshold, the attack, the release, and that's basically it. So you just use it to control whatever frequency. This is not just for DS. I like to use it to DS because it's very clinical. It give you a surgical cut, all right, as you can see, all right. It's a quite narrow band to just affect that particular frequency, and not like some multi-band that have a wide frequency, that when it starts to compress, it would compress maybe from here to over here, or from here to over here, and it would just pull down some of the really good frequencies that you're looking for. All right, as you can see, I used the dynamic over here as well. Some woofing sound was in the vocal, and I try to tame them with this with the multiband as well.
Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God He knows. Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God He knows.
Right.
Where will our story?
You can see how it's activating, right, in these frequencies here. Let me just go ahead and solo here. All right, right away you hear that ugly signal. Ooh, it's cloudy and just annoy, muddy. All right, so it's taking care of that down there. This frequency band is taking care of that frequency down there. All right.
Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God.
Alright, let's go and solo this band here.
God He knows.
Alright, so those are the frequencies actually taken down and controlling them. We don't need so much of those frequencies in the vocal. Alright, so it's containing them. So it's a very nice plugin to dynamic EQ plugin to control. You get more control over your vocals or whatever sound you're using that you just need to control some frequencies. Alright, this is very good because some part of the vocals are gonna use these frequencies, and you don't want to just take them away all the way. You want to be able to use them in some cases, but not too much. And when it gets overwhelming, that's where the dynamic would kick in and retain that nice subtleness and that frequency. And this is why I really love this dynamic EQ. It's my favorite EQ to run to for vocals, as well as this guy here. Right, so I use this to bring up the some sheen and do basically similar thing. All right, and you have to remind ourselves that the compressor kind of pulls some of those frequencies back when you start compressing and so on. So yeah, that's basically how I use this to help contain the S's. All right, so hope you guys learned something. All right, you guys, I know you guys have different ways of doing your thing. All right, so you can feel free to share your links and be sure to comment and reason. Let's just reason about this and generate ideas from each other. All right, so enough respect, bless up again, and I'm out of here.
Where will our story end? Only God He knows. God.